Look, we need to talk about what's really happening with your money in January 2026. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Every day, folks are calling into my show asking about these so-called $2,000 checks that are supposedly coming from tariff revenue. And honestly, it's time somebody cut through the noise and gave you the straight truth. Here's what's actually going down. President Trump has repeatedly suggested that every American could receive a $2,000 dividend funded by import taxes. But, and this is critical, Congress hasn't approved a single dime of this yet. That's right, not one penny has been authorized. No final plans have been announced, and the White House itself is saying nothing's guaranteed. This is a proposal, folks, not a promise deposited in your checking account. Now, let's talk about what is happening. The actual money that's showing up this month, Social Security and Supplemental Security Income, SSI benefits for 75 million Americans, will increase 2.8% in 2026. That means if you're getting the average retirement benefit, you're looking at about $56 more per month starting in January. Is it life-changing? No, but it's real, it's confirmed, and it's in your account. But here's the kicker. Nobody's talking about on social media. The standard monthly premium for Medicare Part B will climb in January from $185 to $22.90, a 9.7% increase. That $790 gets deducted right from your Social Security check, which means your actual increase, it's closer to $38, not $56. This is why you need to understand the full picture, not just the headline. So, let's dive into the math that actually matters to your bank account, not the political talking points. Right now, today, your Social Security check is going up. That's real, but there's this bigger conversation swirling around about tariff money and stimulus checks. And folks, we've got to separate what's happening from what might happen because too many people are making financial decisions based on promises instead of reality. First, the Social Security COLA. You're getting a boost of 2.8% starting this month. The Social Security Administration calculated this based on inflation from last year. And based on the increase in the Consumer Price Index from the third quarter of 2024 through the third quarter of 2025, beneficiaries will receive this 2.8% COLA for 2026. Now, here's what that actually means in dollar terms. If you're getting the average retirement benefit of around $2.15 a month, you're looking at about $56 more each month. That's $672 for the year. Not exactly retirement in Tahiti, but it's something. But, and this is where it gets frustrating, that Medicare Part B premium I mentioned in the opening, it's not just taking a little bite out of your COLA, it's taking a big old chunk. Your Part B premium is jumping from $185 to $22.90. That's an increase of nearly 10%, folks. And here's the thing that drives me crazy. That premium gets deducted automatically from your Social Security check before you ever see it. So let's do the real math here. You're getting $56 more, but you're paying $17.90 more for Medicare. Your actual net increase, $3,810 per month. That's $457.20 for the year. Now, I'm not saying $457 isn't helpful. Every dollar counts when you're on a fixed income. But we need to be honest about what's actually hitting your checking account. And this pattern we're seeing, this is the third straight year that the Medicare Part B standard premium has risen faster than Social Security's COLA. Think about that. 3 years in a row, your healthcare costs are outpacing your cost of living adjustment. That means your purchasing power, your ability to actually buy stuff, is shrinking. Even though the number on your Social Security statement is technically going up, the Senior Citizens League has been tracking this, and their members keep telling them the same thing. Their benefits aren't keeping up. And you know what? They're absolutely right. Now let's talk about this tariff rebate thing because this is where the confusion really kicks in. President Trump has been talking about sending out checks. Sometimes he says $2,000, sometimes the numbers change. Funded by tariff revenue. And I've got to tell you, every single day, people call into my show asking when their check is coming. So let's cut through this. As of today, January 7th, 2026, there is no approved plan to send you a tariff rebate check. None. Zero. Zilch. The White House recently clarified that the proposal to send Americans $2,000 tariff-funded rebate checks will not happen automatically and will rely heavily on approval from Congress before any money can be sent out. Kevin Hassett, who's the director of the White House National Economic Council, said it straight up. Congress has to pass legislation for this to happen. The president can propose it all day long, but Congress controls the purse strings. That's how our government works, folks. And right now, there's no bill that's been passed. There are a couple of proposals floating around, but proposals don't put money in your bank account. Now, there are two different bills that have been introduced. Representative Tom Massey from Kentucky introduced something called the Tariff Dividend Act back in the fall. Under his bill, each adult would receive at least $600, and each dependent child would also get $600. So a family of four might get $2,400 total, not $2,000 per person, like some headlines suggest. And here's the kicker. Payments could increase if tariff revenue exceeds current projections for 2025. But that bill is sitting in committee. It hasn't moved, it's just sitting there. Then there's another approach from Representative Tim Burchett from Tennessee. His Trump Tariff Rebate Act doesn't actually send you a check at all. Instead, it would increase the standard deduction for all tax-paying Americans, placing taxpayers in lower tax brackets and resulting in lower annual tax obligations. So you wouldn't get a lump sum. You'd see the benefit when you file your taxes and only if you're still paying taxes. If you're a retiree who's not filing because your income is below the threshold, this wouldn't help you at all. And here's the elephant in the room that nobody in Washington wants to talk about. The math doesn't work. Multiple economic analysis groups have run the numbers, and they all come to basically the same conclusion. The Tax Foundation did a study and found that sending out these rebate checks would cost between $279.8 billion and $66.8 billion, depending on how they were structured. Meanwhile, tariff revenue is projected to total $158.4 billion in 2025 and $207.5 billion in 2026. You don't need to be a mathematician to see the problem here. You can't give away $600 billion when you're only collecting $200 billion. The money's not there. Now some folks are saying, well, Dave, maybe they'll only send it to lower income people. Okay, that would reduce the cost. Sure. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has suggested limiting payments to households earning under $100,000 a year. But even with income limits, you're still looking at spending more money than the tariffs are bringing in. And remember, the administration has also said they want to use tariff revenue to pay down the national debt. Well, which is it? You can't spend the same dollar three different ways. You can't use it for tax cuts and rebate checks and deficit reduction. That's not how money works. Here's what's really happening with these tariffs, and this is important. According to calculations from Democrats on Congress's Joint Economic Committee, import taxes have cost the average American household nearly $1,200 since Trump returned to the White House. So, while we're waiting for a potential $2,000 rebate that may never come, households have already paid $200 in higher prices because of the tariffs. The tariffs are taxes, folks. When the government puts a tariff on goods coming into the country, that cost gets passed along to you at the store. You're paying it right now, today, every time you buy something that was imported or made with imported parts. And those costs are going up in 2026. Multiple economists and business consultants are warning that companies held off on passing full tariff costs to consumers in 2025, but they can't keep absorbing those costs forever. JP Morgan is estimating that about 80% of tariff costs were absorbed by businesses last year, but that could flip to where consumers are paying 80% of the costs this year. That means you're going to see prices go up on everything from groceries to furniture to electronics. Estimates vary, but credible analysis suggests the average middle-income household could end up paying somewhere between $1,600 and $3,800 extra this year because of tariffs. Let me put this in perspective. You're getting a net Social Security increase of about $457 for the year after Medicare eats into it. But you might be paying an extra $2,000 or more in higher prices because of tariffs. See the problem? Even if that tariff rebate check eventually comes, and that's a big if, you're already in the hole. Now, I want to be clear about something. I'm not here to tell you what to think about tariff policy. Maybe you think tariffs are good for American manufacturing. Maybe you think they're terrible for consumers. That's a political question, and you can make up your own mind. What I'm telling you is the financial reality that's hitting your wallet right now. And the financial reality is this: your costs are going up faster than your income, and you can't budget based on money that might show up someday if Congress does something they haven't done yet. Here's my advice, and I say this with all the love in my heart. Stop waiting for the government to save you. I mean that. Whether it's a tariff rebate or any other program, you cannot build your financial plan around promises from Washington. You've got to work with what you've got right now today. Your Social Security went up $38 net. Great. Put that in the budget, but don't go spending money you don't have yet based on headlines about checks that haven't been approved. If you're struggling to make ends meet, and a lot of seniors are, here's what you need to do. First, go through your budget with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, every single expense. Can you refinance any debt you're carrying? Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use? What about your cell phone bill? Are you paying for a plan with way more data than you need? These might seem like small things, but when you're living on a fixed income, $20 here and $30 there adds up fast. Second, look at your Medicare coverage during the next open enrollment period. A lot of folks just keep the same plan year after year, but Medicare Advantage plans change their benefits and costs every single year. What was the best deal last year might not be the best deal this year. You might be able to find a plan with lower premiums or better coverage for the medications you actually take. Don't leave money on the table because you didn't want to do the research. Third, if you've got adult children, have an honest conversation with them about your financial situation. I know that's hard. Nobody wants to tell their kids they're struggling. But if you are struggling, your family needs to know. Maybe they can help with certain expenses. Maybe you can combine households to split costs. Maybe they can help you navigate resources you didn't know existed, but they can't help if they don't know what's going on. And fourth, be extremely careful about scams. Every time there's talk about government checks or stimulus payments, the scammers come out of the woodwork. I'm telling you right now, the IRS will never call you asking for personal information. The Social Security Administration will never ask you to pay a fee to receive benefits. If someone contacts you claiming you need to verify your information to get a tariff rebate, that's a scam. Hang up, delete the email, block the number. The government doesn't work that way. Look, I get it. It would be wonderful if a $2,000 check showed up in your mailbox next month. That would help a lot of people. But we've got to deal with reality, not wishful thinking. The reality is your COLA is 2.8%. Medicare costs are eating a big chunk of that. Prices are going up because of tariffs. And there's no guarantee any rebate check will ever materialize. That's what we know for sure right now. So here's what you do. You take that net increase of $38 a month and you decide exactly where it's going. Don't let it just disappear into your general spending. Maybe it goes toward building a small emergency fund if you don't have one. Maybe it goes toward paying down a credit card. Maybe you earmark it for those Medicare out-of-pocket costs that are definitely coming, but you be intentional with it because every dollar matters when you're on a fixed income, and stay informed. Things could change. Congress could pass something. The Supreme Court is actually reviewing the legality of some of these tariffs right now, and that could affect tariff revenue and potentially even lead to refunds for businesses. If that happens, it could change the entire financial picture around these rebates. But until something actually passes and gets signed into law, you plan based on what's real, not what's proposed. I'll keep you updated as things develop. But for now, the bottom line is this. Your Social Security went up a little. Your Medicare costs went up more. Prices are rising because of tariffs. And there's no approved plan for rebate checks. That's the truth. And I'd rather give you the hard truth than false hope any day of the